Game of the week in the NFL going down tonight in Arizona. The undefeated Cardinals put that 7-0 record to the test against the Packers. Kyler Murray, currently top 5 in the league in passing. Head coach Cliff Kingsbury feeling more up to speed since coming back from COVID a couple of weeks ago. And that's bad news for opponents when Cliff and Kyler get together, as the Texans saw last week, losing 31-5. Now, offensively, top 10, top 15 in all major statistical categories. Points per game, 32.1. That's fourth best in the NFL. Total yards, over 400. Passing yards, over 265. And rushing yards per game, coming in fifth in the league at 136.6. So with that, let's bring in NFL insider Jason Canfora. Jason, Arizona has some pretty impressive wins on their schedule already, but what does one in prime time against Aaron Rodgers and the Packers do for them nationally?
Well, I think the most important thing it could do is if they were to win this game, you look at Green Bay, and they've been a juggernaut since week one, right, where they didn't quite show up for the opening game in Jacksonville, kind of neutral site. So you obviously you have a head-to-head win against Green Bay. That's almost like 2 wins in your pocket when you start talking about tiebreakers and who's going to get that singular bye with the new revamped playoff schedule. And Kyler Murray, not the biggest quarterback in the world. He's going to pick up his bumps as we go along. You know, they're down J.J. Watt now. They've had pretty good injury luck to this point, but, you know, that can change quickly. So I think the most important thing would be beating a team in that conference who has a legitimate shot at the number one overall seed. And when you have the kind of start Arizona's had, you would like to obviously keep that going as long as you can. And if nothing else, secure that top seed, secure home field advantage, secure that bye.
Hey, Jason, you mentioned injuries there, and that's something I actually want to bring up because we saw Murray go to the medical tent a couple times last week, but on the same note, he's not exactly running as much this season, not as much as people would think. So is it an injury thing just to keep him healthy, or do the Cardinals by design don't need to have him running as much out there?
Well, look, they've had other things going this year. You know, they got a couple of backs there who've gotten the job done. They've been able to stay balanced. They haven't really had to run everything through Kyler maybe the way they have in the past. And they've been able to get more to their on-script plays. So it's not about him just taking off and running on 3rd and 12 and seeing what happens, you know, once things break down. It's been a more cohesive offense. It's been a more on-script offense. And look, right now it's been a bit of a magic carpet ride for them, right? They've caught the breaks. They've won some close games. They've had some things go their way. And overall, they've played really good football. But as we get into the playoffs, you know, and as we go deeper into the season, there's certainly going to be moments where I think Kyler Murray's singular, unique athletic abilities will probably have to lead the way for them.
Do you think they catch another break today? Obviously, with the COVID issues and injury issues going on with the Packers, do they improve to 8-0 this week?
I wouldn't discount, you know, an Aaron Rodgers in a situation like this. People will look and say, well, who's he going to throw the ball to? They're short on wide receivers. They got a running back who can do everything. You know, they've got a tight end that they trust. And they've added some parts to their defense that I think may actually help Green Bay a little bit and keep them maybe a little more balanced than they've been at times in the past. So for me, this game's a bit of a coin flip.
All right, I want to stay here in the NFC West for the time being. Pete Carroll said this week they're counting on Geno Smith. So how long and how much are they going to be counting on him with Russell Wilson still on the sidelines?
Yeah, I'd be surprised if Russell Wilson's back before Week 11, possibly Week 10. But it's a pretty significant procedure that he had. He still has a pin in his finger. It's far from ideal. And the Seahawks knew when he had that procedure after the game that they were going to be without him for a prolonged period of time. And yes, you know, he's a fast healer, and, you know, he'll do whatever's in the realm of possibility to get back as soon as possible. But there's certain things medically that you just can't overcome, and again, including some of the apparatuses that were involved in this procedure. So I think you're most likely looking at Week 11 against Arizona, who we were just talking about. Maybe he pushes for that Green Bay game the week before.
All right, as we were seeing there, Jacob Eason, the only other QB on the active roster for the Seahawks. So certainly they are indeed counting on Geno Smith moving forward until Russell Wilson gets back. Jason Canfora, with that, thank you so much. Don't forget, for our daily NFL fix, check out the Pick Six podcast with Will Brinson and his many guests. Stay on top of all the latest news and trending topics across the league.